Hi there, and welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. Ready for a good chat. How about you? You look a little tired today.
I am a little tired. I was almost late this morning. I had some trouble with my transportation.
Oh no! What happened? Did your bus not come?
No, it wasn't the bus. I decided to take a taxi today because I was running late. But then getting the taxi was a bit of a problem.
A taxi problem? That sounds interesting. Taking a taxi can be tricky sometimes, especially if you are in a new city.
Exactly. And it made me think. This is a great topic for us to talk about. How to take a taxi in English, from the very beginning to the very end.
That's a fantastic idea. It's such a useful skill. Many people travel for work or for vacation, and they need to use taxis. So, where can we start?
Let's start with the first step, getting a taxi. How do you actually get one to stop for you?
Good question. I think there are a few ways. The most classic way is to hail a taxi on the street.
Hail a taxi? Can you explain what hail means?
Of course, to hail a taxi means you stand on the side of the road. And when you see a taxi coming, you raise your hand. It's a signal to the driver that you need a ride.
Right. You just stick your arm out. It's important to look at the taxi. Make eye contact with the driver if you can.
Yes, and you should look for a taxi that is available. Usually a taxi has a light on top. If the light is on, it usually means the taxi is free and looking for a passenger.
That's a very good point. If the light is off, the taxi probably already has someone inside. So don't waste your time waving at that one.
I've done that before. I waved, and the taxi just drove past me. I felt a little silly.
We've all been there. So hailing is one way. What's another way, especially now with technology?
Well, the most common way for many people today is using an app on their phone, like Uber or Lyft. There are many different taxi apps.
Yes, this is what I usually do. It's very convenient. You open the app, you type in where you are and where you want to go.
And the app tells you how much it will cost, approximately. It also tells you how long you have to wait for the car.
Exactly. It's very clear. You see a map and you can watch the car come to you. This is really helpful if you are in a place you don't know well.
I agree. It takes away a lot of the stress. You don't need to worry about having cash either. You can pay with your card through the app.
So we have hailing on the street, using an app, or calling a taxi company on the phone. Is there a third way?
Yes, there is. You can call a taxi company on the phone. This is a more traditional way.
Ah, yes. You can find the number for a local taxi service online or in a phone book. You call them and say, I'd like to book a taxi, please.
And they will ask you for your location. You need to give them your address. For example, I'm at 123 Main Street. Then they will ask where you want to go.
And they will usually tell you how long the wait will be. They might say, a car will be there in 10 minutes. This is a good option if you don't have a smartphone or if the internet is not working.
Okay, so we have three ways: hailing, using an app, or calling a company. Let's imagine we successfully got a taxi. The car stops in front of us. What's next?
Okay, so the taxi stops. First, you open the door and get in. I always try to be polite, so the first thing I say is hello, or good morning, or good afternoon.
That's nice. A simple greeting is always a good start. The driver will probably say hello back. What do you say after that?
After the greeting, you need to tell the driver your destination. This is the most important part. You need to be clear.
How do you say that? Can you give us some examples?
Sure. The simplest way is to say the name of the place and add please. For example, to the airport, please. Or Central Station, please.
Simple and effective. What if you're going to a specific address, like a house or an office?
Then you can say the full address. For example, could you take me to 455 Pine Avenue, please? Using could you take me to is a very polite way to say it.
I like that. Could you take me to? It sounds very natural. What if you have the address on your phone?
That's a great situation. You can just show the phone to the driver and say, I'm going to this address. This helps avoid any confusion with pronunciation.
That's a smart tip, especially if the street name is difficult to say. So you've told the driver where you want to go. The driver says, okay, and starts driving. What happens during the ride? Is it okay to be silent?
Of course, it's perfectly fine to be silent. You can just look out the window and enjoy the view. The driver is working, so they don't expect a long conversation.
But sometimes the driver is friendly and wants to talk, or maybe you want to ask a question. What are some common things to talk about?
This is what we call small talk. You can talk about the weather. It's a very safe topic. You can say something like, it's a beautiful day today, or the weather is not so great today.
Yes, everyone can talk about the weather. What about traffic? That's another common topic in a taxi.
Yes, you can say the traffic is very heavy this morning. Or you can ask the driver, are you having a busy day?
Those are good conversation starters. The driver might tell you about their day. It can be a nice short interaction.
Another important thing you might need to discuss is the route, the way the taxi is going.
Oh, that's important. What if you think there is a faster way?
You can ask politely. You could say, excuse me, can we take the highway? I think it might be faster. But remember, the driver is usually an expert on the city's roads.
That's true. They often know the best shortcuts. Sometimes the driver might ask you about the route. They might say, do you want to take the bridge or the tunnel?
Exactly. They're giving you a choice. If you don't know, it's okay to say, I'm not sure. Which way do you think is better? The driver will appreciate that you trust their judgment.
Good advice. It's always best to be polite. Another question I sometimes ask at the beginning of the trip is, how long will it take to get there?
Ooh, that's a very useful question. The driver can give you an estimate. They might say, about 20 minutes if the traffic is good. This helps you plan.
And what about the cost? Is it okay to ask about the price?
Yes, it is. You can ask, how much will it be, approximately? The driver can give you a general idea, but remember, the final price depends on the meter.
The meter. Let's talk about that. The meter is the machine in the taxi that shows the price of the ride, right?
Correct. It starts at a base price, and the price goes up as you travel further and as time passes. You should always make sure the driver turns on the meter at the beginning of the trip.
That's a very important safety tip. It ensures you pay a fair price. So you're driving, maybe having some small talk, and then you see your destination. You are arriving.
Right. The driver will usually say something like, here we are, or we have arrived. Then they will stop the car in a safe place.
And then comes the next important step, payment. The driver will tell you the final price from the meter.
Yes, they will say something like, that will be $15.50, or just, that's $15.50.
So you need to listen carefully for the number. Now, how do you pay? You mentioned cash earlier.
Yes, paying with cash is very common. You give the money to the driver. Let's say the ride is $15.50. You could give the driver a $20 bill.
And then you would get change back. The driver would give you $4.50.
Exactly. But this brings up another topic, tipping.
Tipping. This can be confusing for people from different cultures. What is a tip?
A tip is a small amount of extra money you give to the driver to say thank you for good service. It is not always required, but it is often appreciated.
So how much should you tip?
A general rule in many places is around 10 to 15% of the fare. So if the fare is $10, a tip of $1 or $1.50 is good. If the fare is $20, a tip of $2 or $3 is nice.
That's a clear explanation. So if the ride was $15.50 and you give the driver $20, what do you say?
You could say, "Here is 20. Please keep the change." Keep the change means the extra money is for the driver as a tip.
Ah, keep the change. That's a very useful phrase. Or you could get your change back and then give the driver a few dollars from it as a tip.
Yes, you can do that too. You could say, "Just give me $2 back, please." If the fare was $15.50 and you gave $20, this means you are tipping $2.50.
Okay, I understand. What about paying by credit card?
If you want to pay by credit card, it's a good idea to ask at the beginning of the trip. You can ask, "Do you accept credit cards?"
That's a good habit, so you don't have a surprise at the end. Most taxis have a machine for cards now.
Yes, when you arrive, you just say, "I'd like to pay by card, please." The driver will prepare the machine for you. The machine will show the price, and sometimes it gives you options for a tip.
Right, it might have buttons that say 15% tip, 20% tip, or custom tip.
It does. After you pay, there is one more thing you might need:
What's that?
a receipt. If you are traveling for work, you often need a receipt to show your company how much you paid.
Good point. How do you ask for that?
You can simply say, "Could I have a receipt, please?" The driver will print one for you or write one out.
Perfect. So you have paid, you got your receipt, now it's time to leave the taxi.
Before you get out, it's very important to check for your belongings. Check for your phone, your wallet, your bag. It's so easy to leave something behind.
I have definitely left an umbrella in a taxi before. It's a sad feeling when you realize it later. So check your seat.
Always check. Once you have all your things, you say, "Thank you" to the driver.
What are some nice things to say?
A simple thank you is great. You can also say, "Thanks for the ride. Have a good day."
That's very friendly. Have a good day. Then you carefully open the door, check for cars or bicycles, and get out.
And you close the door. And that's it. You have successfully taken a taxi.
Wow, that was a very detailed journey from hailing on the street to closing the door at the end. I think we covered everything.
I think so too. It seems like a lot of steps when we talk about it, but in real life, it happens very quickly.
That's true. Most taxi rides are just a few minutes of interaction. So let's do a quick review of the key moments.
Great idea. So first, you get a taxi. You can hail it, use an app, or call a company.
Step 2, you get in and greet the driver. Hello. Then you clearly state your destination. To the Grand Hotel, please.
Step 3, during the ride, you can have some small talk about the weather or traffic, or just be quiet. It's your choice.
Step 4, when you arrive, you find out the cost. How much is it? Then you pay with cash or a card.
Step 5, you decide if you want to leave a tip. You can say, "Keep the change," or "Add a little extra."
And the final step, you say thank you, grab all your things, and get out of the taxi safely.
That's a perfect summary. You know, my problem this morning was that I couldn't find a free taxi. I was hailing for 10 minutes. Many were full.
Oh no. So you were just standing there waving your arm?
Yes. And my phone battery was dead, so I couldn't use an app. It was a classic transportation problem.
So what did you do?
I finally saw a hotel nearby. I walked to the hotel, and there was a line of taxis waiting there, a taxi stand.
Ah, a taxi stand. That's another great way to find a taxi. They're often at airports, train stations, and big hotels. That was smart thinking.
Thank you. I was very relieved when I finally got one. The driver was very nice. We had a little chat about the morning traffic.
See, it all worked out. And now we have a great topic to share with our listeners. It shows that knowing these simple English phrases can really help you in a real-life situation.
It really can. It makes you feel more confident when you're traveling. You know what to expect, and you know what to say.
Even simple things like please and thank you make a big difference. Being polite can make the whole experience much more pleasant for both you and the driver.
I completely agree. Politeness is a universal language, and knowing the specific phrases for a taxi ride is the key to a smooth journey.
For example, knowing how to ask, could you take me to, is much better than just saying a street name. It's softer and more polite.
And knowing how much is a clear way to ask for the price. Or, can I pay by card? It avoids any confusion.
What about if you have a lot of luggage? What should you do?
That's a good question. When the taxi stops, you can ask the driver, could you please open the trunk? The trunk is the space in the back of the car for bags.
The trunk. That's a good word to know. The driver will usually be happy to help you put your bags in.
Yes, and when you arrive at your destination, don't forget to get your bags from the trunk before the taxi leaves.
That would be a disaster for getting your luggage.
It would be a very bad end to the trip, so always remember your bags. If the driver helps you with your luggage, it's very nice to give a slightly bigger tip.
That makes sense. They did extra work to help you. This has been really helpful. I feel like I could take a taxi anywhere in the world now.
Me too, and I hope our listeners feel the same way. These are simple words and short sentences, but they are powerful tools for communication.
Absolutely. Practice them a little bit and you will feel much more comfortable. You could even practice with a friend. One person is the driver and one is the passenger.
That's a brilliant idea for practicing. It makes it feel real. You can pretend to give an address and ask about the price.
Well, I think we've reached our destination for this topic. We've covered everything from start to finish.
I think we have. It was a good trip. And I'm not tired anymore. Talking about it was fun.
It was. I hope this conversation helps our listeners feel prepared and not nervous about taking a taxi in an English-speaking place.
I'm sure it will. The key is just to be clear and polite.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. It was a pleasure talking about this with you.
The pleasure was all mine. And a big thank you to everyone listening to our show today. We are so happy you are here with us.
Yes, thank you for tuning in. We hope you found this conversation useful and that you learned some new phrases you can use on your next trip.
We'll be back again next time with a new topic and another friendly chat. We look forward to you joining us then.
Until then, have a wonderful week. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.